Hello, everybody. Dr. Hammerstead here. I'm going to do a live today. As you guys have noticed, this month is sort of a gut health month for us here at Holist, and I'm trying to focus all of my education either on gut health or on just kind of loving on yourself in this time of fear and anxiety. So thanks for following along. Hey, Doc. Hey, Ronald. Nice to see you. So just real quick, who I am, Dr. Heather Hammerstedt. I'm an emergency medicine doc, lifestyle medicine doc, and I am the founder of Holist, where we do coaching around food and mindset around food and how to prevent and reverse disease with food, exercise, sleep, mindset, and mindfulness, and more. So thanks for joining us. This one might be a little bit long today, guys, because I'm feeling I'm feeling it. So hi, Rebecca. Hi, Shema. Hi, Ellen. So today we're going to primarily dig into some gut health. But first, I just wanted to check in a little bit and see how everyone's doing. There is going on these days a lot of fear and anxiety for a lot of people, a lot of stress trying to figure out how to work from home and manage children. And so I wanted to kind of say, of course, we're all feeling that. In the context of all of this, I think it is even more important that we concentrate on the things that we can control. And the things that we can control, and I've been saying this mantra all month, so I'm sure you've heard it, the things you can control are what you put in your body, how you move your body, and what your thoughts are. And we may not be able to control the circumstance of where we are right now, and I know we all wish we could, especially those of us in medicine, but you can control how you react to it. So what are your thoughts about it? Are you stuck in fear and anxiety, or are you finding creative ways to make the situation that we're in better? Are you finding ways to think about how positive things really are going to come out of this? Are you planning for those positive things and acting for those positive things? Are you choosing food that is unprocessed and healthy and well so that you can be the strongest and best brain and body that you can possibly be? Are you choosing to move your body in a way that helps you get rid of some of that stress and anxiety? Hi, Dr. Wendy. Nice to see you. Those are the things you can control. What you put in your mouth, how you move your body, and what your thoughts are. If you want to talk more about that, we can do a whole nother training if that sounds good to you. Just say, what you can control or control in the comments so that we can do that. So before we move on to gut health, again, please say live in the comments if you're joining me live. Please say replay if you're watching me on replay. This helps Facebook bump it up so other people can see it. Give me a couple loves on those emoji there so that it bumps it up. Of course, at any time, if you guys want to hop on the call with me or with one of my strategy coaches, Tambra or Luke, we are always available to talk to you about what we can help you figure out what your next steps may be around food in your body. That all being said, let's talk about some gut health, okay? So does the idea that there are trillions of bacteria live inside of you right now freak you out? I know it may sound a little creepy, but it's absolutely normal and healthy, and it's part of having a healthy digestive system. So I'm going to talk about all these amazing bacteria in this video today and how they impact your health and your results in a really big way. But again, let me just briefly introduce myself. I'm Heather Hammerstedt, emergency medicine and lifestyle medicine. I run Holist, and we help women get to the body and mind that they deserve using real food with a side effect of weight wellness, with the main goal of getting to long-term health. So I sent out an email about this topic to my newsletter subscribers today. And if you're not a subscriber, please message me with your email so that we can get you on there, because we do special deals and tons of education there. But I wanted to touch on it here because what's happening in your gut has a huge impact on what's happening in your entire body. So I'm talking about everything from your mood to your digestion, even your brain and your heart. And your gut health can play a role in your weight as well, very clearly, as well as in food addiction. So here's why that matters. Your gut is like its own little planet with tens of trillions of residents. And there are like hundreds of different species of them. And all together, it's called your gut microbiome. So each kind of bacteria has a different job. Like some help make hormones and help with your body's processes, and some help make neurotransmitters that affect your mood and your focus. And some of them even turn veggies into cancer fighters, plus a whole lot more. They also play a really big role in your immune system, and we're going to talk about that. But there are also unhealthy bacteria and other toxins in your gut, like so things like E. coli and other things like that that can make you ill. And one of the reasons why antibiotics can sometimes cause diarrhea or cause other adverse effects is because they kill off the bad bacteria that they're trying to kill, right? Like the sinus infection that you probably don't need antibiotics for anyway. That's going to kill off the, it's not so specific for your sinus, right? So it's going to kill off the good and the bad bacteria in your gut, and can cause an overgrowth of things that sometimes can cause other diseases like C. diff. So scientists are just learning how important it is to keep the right balance of the bacteria, and it's a huge area of study that we're going to be hearing a lot more about in the next several years. I had the honor of being a podcast guest with LearnSkin, and we talked about this for, I don't know, half an hour, and there's just so many pieces that come from all over the place. It's really fun. But what's even more interesting is that each person has their own unique balance of their gut microbiome. It's sort of like a fingerprint. So it's almost exactly like a fingerprint. So hi Linda, hi Christina, Matt, Sandy, Cynthia, nice to see you guys. So it's like, and we don't know necessarily, is my balance supposed to be the same as your balance? Are we aiming for the same goal, or do we each function a little bit differently with our own unique balance within us? We don't know those things. My guess is probably the latter, right? If I feel good at one certain place and then I take antibiotics and it takes me 6 to 12 months to recover that balance, I feel the difference. But we all do share about 1/3 of the same basic gut makeup, which means 2/3 of that gut microbiome is an individual to you. As a side note, that's probably why some of us do better on different kinds of diets, and scientists are all exploring all of that. Even with all of that, there's a lot of actions that you can take to keep your gut in balance, and I'm going to talk about this real quick here, and then we're going to dig in case you can't stay and listen to all the nerdy parts. You can take something away from this and then come back and watch the rest later. So it all boils down to an overall healthy lifestyle, right, that makes you feel better all the way around. And I'm going to outline the highlights that you can get started on right now. So the first is, obviously what you eat is a huge role, right? So what you take in as a supplement, the probiotic that you hear about that hopefully your doctor is telling you to take when they give you antibiotics, or more importantly, telling you to take for 8 to 12 weeks after you finish the antibiotics, those probiotics are the bacteria, right? But the food that kind of creates this balanced microbiome, those are prebiotic foods, meaning that they are foods that are going to give the nutrients to the good bacteria so that they can flourish and outgrow the bad ones. Does that make sense? So good bacteria like a healthy, balanced diet with, as with everything else I'm always saying, unprocessed foods, fiber from foods like apples or oats or vegetables, right? Fiber, so that's why juicing isn't great, because you get rid of the fiber. They also like very little added sugar. So all the same things that we're doing for long-term health and for weight management is the same thing that's going to help you with your microbiome. So plus it can help to eat fermented foods that contain the healthy bacteria in them, right? So like sauerkraut and yogurt with active cultures, kimchi, kefir, those kind of things. We're going to talk a little bit more detail about food. So the second thing I want to talk about for your takeaway is sleep. Sleep also plays a really big role in your gut health, because not getting enough sleep can harm the good bacteria in your gut, and that's because the gut microbiome plays a role in creating sleep hormones. Can you believe that? It's kind of crazy, right? So with fewer of those hormones, it can make it harder to sleep. So sleeping begets good microbiome begets good sleep. So one thing that you can really do if you're having trouble sleeping, besides getting exercise in the afternoons, besides the blue light, besides minimizing screens and in that blue light, besides changing your eating patterns, all of those things, really having that healthy, balanced diet helps your gut be able to create those hormones better. So lastly, and I kind of talked about this just briefly, super important, this third takeaway is that people who exercise regularly appear to have a healthier gut balance as well, at least while they're keeping up with their exercise regimen. So those of you who have totally fallen off the wagon and started eating a bunch of shit while you're all stressed out at home with your pantry and your boxed things, and aren't doing your exercise, you're probably noticing you're not sleeping very well. You're probably noticing your anxiety and your fear are ratcheting up. Your gut microbiome has a lot to do with that. So those are some things that you can do to help that. And yes, that brings us to the last one, right? There is a 6-letter word called stress. Is that 6? Yeah, 6-letter word that can do a huge number on your gut microbiome. So there is a direct link between the lining of your gut and your brain, with each affecting each other. So taking time to de-stress is huge. And this also impacts your immune system. Speaking of de-stressing, so I just got off, I was a few minutes late starting this, sorry about that. Because I just got off the phone with a new holistic practitioner. Her name is Leah, and she does meditation work, and she did a little 3-minute meditation for me over the phone before I came on here. And man, what a big difference it makes. If you don't have a meditation practice yet, reach out to us and we can connect you. She's got a ton of free resources. Okay, so let's dig in a little bit more. Okay, so what is the microbiome? So during our formation in utero, our brain and spinal cord are formed from a structure called a neural tube. Some cells are sort of called neural crest cells, and then those are kind of makes your brain, and then the brain and the spinal cord are formed from, they're kind of form into what we call the enteric nervous system. So the enteric nervous system consists of a large number of neurons, the same number of types of cells that make up our brain, which is crazy. Like we have maybe even more neurons in our gut than we do in our brain. As well as glial cells, which are another type of cell. And so those cells are located all along our gastrointestinal tract. There may be like 5 million neurons in the gut and only 100 billion in our brain. And they all communicate back and forth. So the system is really capable of controlling the functions of our intestine tract independently from our brain. So it's pretty cool because that's when you guys have always heard that second brain kind of conversation, I know this in my gut, or I can feel it in my gut, or go with your gut, right? Those kind of things, or when you get anxious and you start feeling that. That's the gut-brain axis, or the gut-brain connection. So it's basically a communication network that connects your gut and your brain. So some examples of that are the vagus nerve. So it connects your gut and your brain to send signals in both directions. So the vagus nerve kind of connects the physical and emotional stress to IBS and Crohn's, kind of going back and forth. I think it probably also has a lot to do with the nerves that you get when you have diarrhea before you do a race or a talk or something like that. Another example are neurotransmitters like serotonin, which is your happy chemical that controls your body clock as well. And that's primarily made in the gut, which is really interesting. But affects the brain mostly, and the other one that does that is GABA, which controls fear and anxiety. It's also made in your gut. Another example, gut microbes make short-chain fatty acids, which mean they digest fiber and they work to control your appetite and reduce the reward that you get from food. And they also create your blood-brain barrier. So really, really interesting. Hi, Paru. Hi, Sean. Hi, Deepika. Hi, Jennifer. So really interesting stuff. And another example of this gut-brain axis is that stress and anxiety can reduce the production of bile acids that actually help you digest dietary fats and even alter their gene transcription. So really interesting stuff, really interesting examples, I think, because I'm nerdy. But an easy way to keep the best microbiome, again, for the gut-brain axis is to sound familiar. My refrain, you've got to eat a diet rich in whole foods and fiber and low in processed and high sugar foods. These are the things that you can do that you're making sure are helping you with your mood, helping you control your fear and anxiety, and all of the other things that we just talked about. It's directly related. So you're not crazy when you think that you're eating well. You can deal with all the shit that's going around us much better, okay? Okay, let's talk about our immune system, because we all want a good immune system, because right now we're all like afraid that we're going to get this virus, and as I'm like touching my face. And so like we've got to like bulk up the best that we can, right? And our immune system is how we do that. So it's important to realize that both our large and our small bowel play a vital role in our immune system. So they both contain lymphoid tissue. It's called Peyer's patch in the small bowel and colon patches in the large bowel. And they have T cells and B cells and dendritic cells, which are all cells that are vital for our immune function. And guess who stimulates those immune cells in our bowel? Our friendly bacteria, right? They increase the production of antibodies, which help keep those pathogenic bacteria in check. And it also helps our body tolerate our friendly bacteria, which in turn help our body tolerate our own cells. That's what our immune system is helping our cells fight off things that we don't want and keep the things that we do want, right? So why is this important? Because otherwise we may suffer from autoimmune disorders where our bodies attack our own cells. And in doing this, it also keeps your inflammation at bay, which is why people who have autoimmune disorders and why people who suffer from illnesses around chronic inflammation will, again, my refrain, do better on a whole foods, unprocessed diet that they do in a thoughtful way. So this brings me to, what should we talk about next? Talk about the foods? Should we talk about foods? Let's talk about first food addiction a little bit. Okay, so what is food addiction? Food addiction is what some people call emotional eating. Sorry to break it to you. And some of you who are watching right now, I have talked to you on the phone about your own food addiction. So new research is coming out all the time about food addiction and about what gut microbiota do to that. So food addiction is literally the fact that when you eat, you get the same changes in your brain that you get when you use alcohol or when you gamble or you do any drug that is addictive. It changes the dopamine and serotonin structure in your brain. It changes the actual structure of your brain. We can watch you on a functional MRI of people who are addicted and use the substance of which they're addicted and how their brains light up versus those of us who are not addicted and what happens. I'm not saying you can like never have the food that you're addicted to again, but what it means, you need to be very clear and honest with yourself about how you're using food and why you're using it. And if you're finding yourself mindlessly eating a bunch of highly palatable lab-produced food with added sugar and added fats, and you're doing it without even realizing it, and you're doing it even though you know it's not getting to the goals that you've laid out to yourself, that is like the epitome description of what food addiction is, right? Does that sound familiar? Anyone listening to me? Someone give me a hands up, a little bit of love here in the comments. I'm feeling lonely over here. So how does the microbiome affect that? So the gut microbiota, the package of all of those millions and millions of bacteria, they contribute to your hunger signals and to obesity through the metabolism of nutrients and their influence on mood, the influence on their hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, and the dopamine, motivational, and reward system. So if we aren't feeding the gut bacteria the nutrients they need to stay healthy, it seems that they can both directly and indirectly mess with our energy metabolism, the expenditure in and out, and in turn mess with what we choose, what we think we're choosing to eat, or what they're telling us to eat, and are forced to put into us to feed them through the changes in these neuropeptides and the changes in the way our appetite and our hippocampus works. So a lot of words to say that it is true that you can break food addiction and cravings by changing the what you're eating. I think additionally, even more importantly, why what we do at Holist is so unique is that we attack it not just from the what and the when you're eating, but also from the why you're eating, and really get to those, like rewiring your brain around the choices that you're making. I'm doing a lot of hand talking today. I'm going to keep going with it. It's like I'm Italian or something. And so again, a summary. Our microbiome, all the bacteria that live in our gut We need to feed them to help our brain, to help our mood, to help our immune system, and a million other things. So let's talk about what I'm talking about in terms of food, okay? Some details. And first of all, hi Priya, nice to see you. So I need a little bit of love before I keep going. There's a bunch of people watching and I just need someone to like, hi Linda, thank you. Why don't you drop a live if you're watching live, drop a replay if you're watching on replay. If something I'm saying sounds interesting and you want to hear more about it, drop a comment and I'll answer it now, or I'll come back to you in the comments, or maybe I'll do a whole nother training. I'm always looking for ideas on how I can serve you guys and provide content. And please give me some loves so that we can push this up so Facebook will show it to everyone else in the group, because we're well over, like, I don't know, 2,400 of us or something. So, okay, foods recommended. Number one, you got to switch the food you eat to food that will increase the good bacteria that you already have, right? So you want to food feed the 100 trillion bacteria that you already have and like keep them stoked, right? So how are we going to do that? We're going to eat a diversity of fruits and vegetables is the number one way to get this. So following a predominantly plant-based diet, nobody freak out. I'm not saying you have to be totally vegetarian or vegan, although the evidence of lifestyle medicine definitely points in that direction. But my opinion is that you flip your protein, right? You flip the protein on your plate so that it is primarily a vegetable protein. And if you're going to have meat, have it be the garnish on the side. So that's a protein flip. And get 90% of your food to be fruits and vegetables. Like the US average is like 20 to 30%. You will be well on your way to making a huge difference, okay? Fiber is the underlying reason for most of the plants are better recommendation. Dietary recommendations are for 25 to 35 grams per day. So remember we did our food label training a couple weeks ago and I showed you exactly where to look for the fiber. So you're looking for 25 to 35 grams per day. The average American gets half of that, and only 5 of us get the recommended amount. Okay, so where are you? Are you the 5%? Are you the 5%, or you get more? Lifestyle medicine evidence really shows that we probably need like 45 grams per day. So getting this fiber from whole grains, whole fruits, whole vegetables, and legumes is best. Supplementation is not nearly as effective, but right now where some of you may be having some food scarcity issues, especially around whole fresh foods, then it's better than nothing, right? So, and as I always say to my wholest clients, if it looks like it was grown, eat it. If it comes in a box, don't, okay? There's also likely a connection of natural fiber and the amount of inflammation in the gut and body. The NANS study found that more fiber, let me try to remember, the more fiber somebody ate, the lower the chance of metabolic syndrome, inflammation, and obesity. The connection between the lack of fiber, so more fatty foods, animal products, refined sugars, and grains, to just the opposite, okay? So the American College of Epidemiology released an article showing that increasing your fiber by 10 grams per day caused a 10% reduction in all-cause mortality, like death for any reason. Is that crazy? Like preventing all-cause mortality because you're eating 10 grams per day more of fiber? Like that seems pretty easy to do, right? Like that's a public health benefit. So hi Daisy, hi Anastasia. So there's that, okay? Fermented foods, as we mentioned, also really help. Kefir, yogurt, kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. Somebody drop some other fermented foods into the comments if I'm not thinking about them. Your body makes short chain fatty acids and other needed digestive enzymes from fermenting the fiber itself. And it can feed your gut bacteria with those results. So feeding it already fermented, and you're already like well on your way to efficiently delivering that, right? You get it? So those short chain fatty acids are like fermenting the fiber that's not already fermented. And so if you give it the fermented stuff, it's like skipped a whole step, right? Okay, lastly, no, not lastly. Who am I kidding? Consistency. It takes only 3 days to change to dysbiosis, which is an imbalanced gut microbiome, or back to balance, which is both awesome and awful at the same time. That means you can get off kilter like super fast with lifestyle choices, but you all know that. But you also means that you can recover fast. So consistency, consistency, consistency means that you need to be having a diet that you feel satisfied with, nourished with, satiated by, full, but also that you know is going to create that long-term health for you. If you can think about this meaning that I have to stay consistent so that all the gut and all my gut bacteria are happy and they're creating better health for me. Like if that's what it makes you do, that's great, because often it's easy for us to, push off decision making. My dog's trying to bust in here. Push off these good healthy choices to like another time because we're not worth it, or you've got kids to take care of, or a job to do, or there's a pandemic, whatever your reason is. But you've got to be consistent. It's got to be a daily choice. And the more you are consistent, the better you're going to feel, the better you're going to sleep, the less cravings you're going to have, the less up and down in mood you're going to have, the easier exercise is going to be, the easier it is to believe in yourself and to love yourself. So consistency. Diversity is also key. So diversity of fruits and vegetables. You've got to introduce different types. You've got to alternate. You've got to change it up. You can expose the gut to as many different opportunities to diversify itself, the better. The more species, the better. And so we know we do this with our kids, right? We're constantly giving them something new and different. Like you've got to do it for yourself too. You've got to do it. And I know right now is hard, but like, here's the thing. We still have options, right? You can, hi Kelsey, hi Richa. You can still find this food. You just have to be more creative. And the longer that this goes on, the more that companies are going to be able to help us with this. So there are the, meal planning, fresh deliveries. And then there's right now we're starting to see, more of these community farms like popping up and starting to do deliveries of fresh foods. And so if you don't have a CSA that you know of in your area yet, like definitely start Googling. Don't leave me yet, but Google when we're done talking and find one. So, okay, so let's talk a little detail about omega-3s, fermented, high fiber foods, polyphenols, and some tryptophan, and then I will let you guys go, okay? So omega-3 fats, these are fats that are found in oily fish, and they're in really high quantities in the human brain. Studies in humans and animals actually show that omega-3s can increase good bacteria in the gut and reduce the risk of some brain disorders. So that's something to keep in mind when you are thinking about the fats that you're choosing or supplementing with. Omega-3s is always a good supplementation. Fermented foods, we talked about this, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and some cheeses. They have those healthy microbes like lactic acid bacteria. And these kind of fermented foods not only help with everything we talked about in terms of the prebiotics and feeding the gut, but they also have been shown to actually alter brain activity almost directly. So super cool. High fiber foods, again, whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables. They have those prebiotic fibers that are good for the gut bacteria. And the prebiotics can really reduce the stress hormones in humans as well, probably because it's adjusting, again, the serotonin and some of the other mood hormones that are made in your gut, and then those function to interact with your cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So polyphenol-rich foods, cocoa, green tea, olive oil, coffee, those all have polyphenols, which are plant chemicals that are digested by the gut bacteria, and they actually help increase the healthy gut bacteria themselves. They feed back, like they get digested by them, and then they help them grow. And they also may improve cognition. So really interesting. Tryptophan, that's a husband bomb. Tryptophan-rich foods. Tryptophan, we know this from turkey, right? But it's also in eggs and cheese. And it's an amino acid that's converted into the neurotransmitter serotonin, which is why you feel really, really good when you eat turkey. At least I do. Turkey is one meat I don't think I can get rid of. I was a vegetarian for like 13 years, but like I am not anymore. But I'm primarily plant-based. I can't talk the talk and not walk the walk, right? Okay, so last thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about is like how you make these changes, right? Like we've been talking about that these gut microbes help dictate all these processes in our body, like our body's response to insulin, which stores things in your fat. Insulin is the main hormone in weight management issues. Our body's response to our appetite and our weight gain. But they also help make vitamins in our bodies. And, you know, it doesn't mean that we can't drastically affect what the microbiome is and what it can do about it. And we've talked a ton about the food, but the issue is really like why we are eating and when we should be eating and how do we make sustainable change. And that's where the problem comes in, right? Finding the information you can trust, action that is valid and sustainable, support when shit hits the fan, right? Because you have tons of information, right? You have too much information. I mean, really, there's so much out there. And it can be overwhelming, confusing, or just basically paralyzing, right? And information does not get you results. Action does. Consistent action and following through. Hope is not a strategy. Sorry. Taking action is. And the secret to making all of this work in your life is the coaching. So coaches are what turn all this information and this entire step-by-step lifestyle transformation system into action. They're what keep you going. They're who will get you over the humps in the road. They bring you back to it when you waver. They guide you in shifting your lifestyle, and they help you sustain challenges and sustain over challenges that are, you know, a constant daily fight and struggle when you're doing something like this. You know, they help you experiment in a way that you can trust, because it's not, I mean, it's hard to trust yourself when you don't know what you're doing, right? And if you can't put this into action consistently and solve all those challenges that seem overwhelming in the moment, then none of this other stuff really matters, right? None of it. But if you have a coach that knows what's going on and what's holding you back and how to break you through and how to motivate you, and they have the training to do that, and they know how to customize things to your needs and how to workshop solutions when you don't know what to do, like that's the key. And it's different than working with your doctor. I can't stop touching my face. Is anyone else having that problem? Like, really? It's like, I didn't even know how many times I touched my face until all of this. But working with a coach is like, it's different than working with your doctor, right? Like, I mean, I'm a doctor. I'm a huge like proponent of seeing your doctor, right? But your doctor can only see you for like 15 minutes at a time. And maybe you only see him like once or twice a year, and they don't have time to teach you this stuff. And like, they don't really know this stuff. Most of them don't have the expertise. Like, I found all of this on my own through a lot of hard work and through studying lifestyle medicine and becoming a health coach myself. So unfortunately, we're just not trained in conventional medicine to do that. We're trained to prescribe and fix, and it's a flaw, right? And a lot of people are trying to fix it, which is awesome. But your doctors aren't coaches. They counsel, they don't coach, right? Your coaches are there to like teach you and tell you like prescriptively what to do, but also to like hold that space for you, right? To create your own future under their guidance. And I really strongly believe that coaching is what we're missing in a lot of things. I have like several coaches in my own life, but it's really what we're missing in our healthcare system, because we know that 80% of chronic diseases are preventable, right? Much of those chronic diseases are reversible with lifestyle change. One of you who is watching right now came into our coaching program and reversed her diabetes, right? It's pretty amazing. So the top 10 killers globally are lifestyle preventable. So what is it that we are doing that's already working? Putting Band-Aids on instead of solving the lifestyle problem, waiting for the heart attack instead of preventing, incentivizing procedures but not prevention, and multidisciplinary teams are an exception. So yes, I'm passionate about using lifestyle medicine evidence to empower with coaching, but also to use the evidence on how to make those sustainable lifestyle changes and how to fix that problem. So here at Holist, what we do is we have a multidisciplinary team of mindset coaches and trained weight coaches. We use the evidence behind weight science and neuroplasticity and cognitive behavioral change and lifestyle medicine and all of these things that we've been talking about, and putting them together in a blueprint, but customizing it for each person so we can make sure that we meet you where you are and get you where you want to go. So that is, in a nutshell, like why I think coaching is so essential. I'm talking about this because we can learn about all the things that we talked about all day long, right? Gut health, immune system, the food for the microbiome, how it affects our brain, different things, you know, the sleep, the de-stressing, the exercise, all those things that we can do to help our gut microbiome to prevent metabolic disease and obesity and Alzheimer's and autoimmune disease and a million other things. But if you don't actually act to do it, right? Hope is not a strategy. Information gathering and not action is not a strategy. If you don't actually do anything about it, then you're just shit out of luck, right? You're just doing the same thing you did yesterday. And here's the thing. Yesterday is over. Being in the past is over. What is in the past is regret. What is in the past is frustration. In the moment, we can choose peace. In the moment, we can choose mindfulness. In the moment, we can choose what we want to, again, the 3 things we can control: put in our body, move our body, and our thoughts. If you want help doing any of those 3 things, especially now where we are currently, all stuck in our homes, isolated from each other, stressed out, this is the time to change your future. Stop living in the past, choose in the moment to choose the future that you want so that you can be the strongest you can be. If you do get the virus, the strongest you can be to support those around you, the strongest you can be as a doctor to help other people in this time, and the strongest for whatever happens next after that. So I did drop the breakthrough call link into the comments. You can hop on the phone with me, Luke, or Tamber, and we're happy to tell you all about, you know, what we do. But most importantly, the call's focus is really just to figure out your why, what's broken, you know, what's worked for you in the past, why it's not working anymore, and what your chances are in terms of what the next steps are that you can do to change your life. So I told you it was gonna be long, 35 minutes. I was just like blabbering on that whole time. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Reach out and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.